Hello and welcome to the channel. As always, like the video, and if you enjoyed the story, leave a comment on if you would want more. This fan fiction was not created by me, but in the description there is a link to the fanfic so you can show your support to the creator and read along. Without any more delay, let's dive into the story.
It was over after a long battle. The Kyuubi was defeated. It was not without its costs, however. The third Hokage had to give his life to seal the demon. The fourth Hokage and his wife were alive, but unconscious in the hospital and were predicted to stay unconscious for at least a week. No one could blame them, however, as fighting the Kyuubi and giving birth to triplets would take it out of anyone. There was a problem though. Someone had to take care of the triplets while the parents were recovering. It was decided that the Sannin would each take one and keep it safe until Minato or Kushina woke up. Jiraiya got the most important of the bunch. A little girl by the name of Naruko. Kushina had told Jiraiya the names of all her kids before she passed out. The leaf's new jinchuriki. Tsunade was given the other girl, Minima. She had the Kyuubi's leftover chakra sealed inside her, about one tael's worth. The last and only boy of the bunch, Naruto, was given to Orochimaru. This was a little strange because Orochimaru didn't seem like a person who would willingly take care of a kid, but he seemed eager to get Naruto. Later Jiraiya and Tsunade would say he was too eager. Naruto didn't have anything from the Kyuubi, or if he did get any chakra from Kyuubi it was minimal. After the kids were given to each Sannin, Orochimaru took off to his lab with an evil grin on his face. When he got to his lab he set Naruto down on a table and started packing. Today he was going to leave Konoha. It was a little earlier than planned, but he wanted to take his new test subject with him and he wouldn't have him for long. Yes, he had special plans for the son of the Hokage. When Orochimaru finished he warped Naruto in a blanket to hide him from view and quickly escaped the village. It wasn't hard, everyone was still disorganized due to the Kyuubi. He escaped without anyone noticing. Kushina eyes opened slowly, still trying to adjust to the light. Once she was able to accomplish that, she looked around to see she was in a hospital room. Once she realized she was in a hospital room her mind went into overdrive trying to remember what had happened. Then she shot up. Minato, the kids, where are they? Kushina started to panic. She was going to get out of bed and leave the hospital when the door opened. Kushina, you're awake. Minato said as he ran into Kushina's line of vision carrying two baby girls. Minato, thank goodness you're okay, and are those my babies? Kushina said, holding her hands out. Let me hold them. Minato smiled as he gave them to Kushina, who embraced them. They're so warm, but where's Naruto? She asked. That's when Minato's mood changed from happy to depressed. There's something I need to tell you. Minato told her how he had woken up 2 days earlier and how Orochimaru took Naruto. Don't worry Kushina, we'll find him. I have every Umbu team under me along with Jiraiya's spy network looking everywhere. We'll catch Orochimaru. None of Minato's words could calm Kushina, however, as she was crying and holding Naruko and Minima even closer. But why would he take him? What is he planning on doing with my baby boy? Kushina sobbed. Minato hesitated for a moment. He wasn't sure if he should tell Kushina what they had found so far. It would just make her depressed, but in the end Minato figured Kushina would force him to tell her anyways. We found a lab. It looks like it was being used for human experiments. Minato said, bracing himself for Kushina's reaction. The look on Kushina's face was pure horror. He took my son to be used for his sick experiments. Kushina said as her eyes darkened. Minato, when you find Orochimaru I want you to bring him to me so I can rip him limb from limb. She said, sounding angry and sad all at the same time. I'll make sure of it. Minato said, a little terrified. How about we head home? 3 years later. Kushina was sitting on the couch watching her two daughters play in the living room. They were both bundles of energy and Kushina couldn't be any more pleased. They were getting to live relatively normal lives despite being the daughters of the Hokage and Naruko being a jinchuriki. Naruko Jinchuriki's status was revealed to the village. As to be expected, people were angry at first because the Kyuubi wasn't killed, but after Minato explained that a jinchuriki was not the Kyuubi, most people calmed down. For the ones who didn't, well, Kushina took care of that. All in all, things were going well, expected for one thing. Orochimaru and Naruto had disappeared off the face of the earth, and while Jiraiya was still looking as hard as he could, most of the villagers and ninja believed Naruto was died. Kushina of course believed Naruto was alive, but it made Kushina so angry thinking about what that snake bastard was doing to him. Kushina had to calm down, though it wasn't good for her or the baby, Kushina thought as she rubbed her extruded stomach. Kushina was pregnant again. She knew that she might have wanted another kid to fill the void that Naruto had left, but she tried not to think about that. This kid wasn't going to be a replacement for Naruto, it was going to be an addition for when Naruto came back. Her daughters were both thrilled to know they were going to get a younger sibling, but they argued a lot about the gender. Naruko wanted a little sister, saying that they would get along more. Minima wanted a little brother, saying that having too many girls would cause them to fight. Their arguments were endless amount of enjoyment for Kushina and Minato. Speaking of sibling, the girls haven't been told about Naruto. They were going to tell them about Naruto eventually, but they were too young, and with another child on the way, Kushina felt they should all hear about it at the same. This was of course if Naruto didn't come back before then. 3 years later, Kushina and Minato watched their twin daughters trying to stick a leaf to their heads. Kushina was holding their youngest daughter, Mito, by the hand. Naruko and Minima had started the academy last year and were both working really hard on chakra control. Naruko had long blonde hair and 3 whisker marks on each cheek. Her eyes are a dark blue color. Minima looked like a younger version of Kushina, right down to the color of hair and eyes. Minima, however, in an attempt to look a little different from her mom, kept her hair a little shorter and had it covering her left eye. Mito had sky blue eyes along with red hair that she kept mid-length. Naruko and Minima had a hard time controlling their chakra. This was of course due to Naruko being a jinchuriki and Minima having some of the Kyuubi's chakra. Minato and Kushina had sat them down a few years ago and told them the story excluding Naruto. Kushina had also told Mito recently so she would understand what a jinchuriki was. Unfortunately, chakra control wasn't the only problem that was arising because of the Kyuubi. Naruko was just as hot-headed as Kushina, and because she was so young she would often get angry. This let the Kyuubi take control. Likely it's never became too bad, and Minato has been able to stop it with only Anbu knowing about it. The thing was, it was happening a little too often and one day it could get out of hand, so Kushina and Minato tried to keep her happy all the time. It would probably be better when she got a little older. The other issues was when Naruko did lose it, it caused the demonic chakra in Minima to try and take control also. So far Minima has been able to keep it at bay and keep control, but it's very painful for her to do so. Minima finally got a leaf to stick to her forehead and looked really happy about. Naruko still couldn't do it and looked frustrated at Minima, so she just pulled the leaf off Minima's forehead. "Hey, why'd you do that?" Minima yelled. "Because I felt like it," Naruko said, sticking her tongue out. Minima pulled her arm back ready to punch Naruko, but Minato grabbed her. "Minima, don't punch you sister," Minato said harshly. "But she pulled the leaf off my head," Minima complained. "Even so, you shouldn't hit her just because you're mad," Minato said, calming down. Minima didn't look happy, but lowered her arm. "Alright, I'm sorry." "As long as you're sorry," Minato said as he picked her up and put her on his shoulders. "Come on girls, me and Kushina have something to tell you," Minato said, looking happy, but Kushina knew this was going to be the hard conversation, even harder than the Kyuubi talk. The family walked to the living room. Minato dropped Minima off the couch with Naruko and Mito, then sat in another couch with Kushina. "Girls, this is a story about someone very dear to us, even if you never meet him," Kushina said as she clasped her hands. "It's the story on how your brother was taken away." All the girls gasped, finding it hard to believe. "We have a brother?" Naruko said. "How come you never told us?" Minima said. "Big brother?" Mito said. Kushina raised her hand to silence them. Then she and Minato told them about the incident involving Orochimaru. We would have told you sooner, but we wanted you to be old enough. When we found out we were having Mito, we decided to wait until she was old enough too, so we could tell the whole family at once. All the girls were thinking different things. Naruko was thinking what Orochimaru was doing to Naruto. Minima was thinking how to find Naruto, and Mito was only thinking what her brother was like. Have you found out anything since Naruto was taken? Minima asked. Kushina was surprised to hear her daughter ask a question like that, but answered anyways. A year ago Jiraiya heard a rumor that Orochimaru joined some group called the Akatsuki, but we haven't even been able to confirm if the Akatsuki even exist, let alone if Orochimaru joined them. The girls seemed a little disappointed in the lack of information, but knew their parents were just as frustrated as they were. That was a lot to take in, so how about we all go to bed? Minato suggested, trying to lighten the mood. The girls just stood up and walked to their rooms without saying anything. They all had a lot to think about. Somewhere. Thud, bounce, bounce, thud, bounce, bounce, was the only sound that came from a pitch-black room. Although it was more like a holding cell than an actually room. A boy was throwing a ball against a wall. He had blonde hair, but it was strange, it was pale, like someone had sapped all the saturation from it. A couple strands of his somewhat spiky hair fell over his dark red eyes. The boy was also very pale. He was wearing black shinobi shoes with gray pants and shirt. He also had some sort of glowing ring around his wrist. As he was throwing his ball, he heard someone walk up to his cell. "It's time, Naruto," Orochimaru said as he unlocked the door. Naruto stood up and followed Orochimaru to a large stone room. Inside the room was another man who was spinning a kunai around his finger. "So I just have to kill this brat and you'll let me go?" the man asked Orochimaru. "Yes, of course," Orochimaru hissed as he walked off to the side. As he did, the glowing ring on Naruto's wrist stopped glowing. "This will be over soon," the man said as he stopped spinning his kunai and threw it at Naruto's head. Naruto didn't do anything to stop it or try to dodge. He just stood there. "What an idiot," the man said. The kunai looked like it was going to pierce Naruto's skull, but when it got close to Naruto's head it was sent back in the direction it came from, stabbing the man in the shoulder. "What the hell?" the man shouted in pain. He gave a death glare at Naruto, who still hadn't moved, as he removed the kunai from his shoulder. The man was pissed. He ran around Naruto throwing kunais, but each and every one of them was sent flying back at him. After a little bit the man stopped throwing them. "Fine, kunais won't work on you. Then how about this?" the man screamed as he charged Naruto. He tried to punch Naruto, but when his fist got close there was a loud snapping sound as the man's wrist broke. "Damn it!" the man screamed, holding his wrist in pain. "Just what kind of monster are you?" "One that is growing bored," Naruto said as he started walking towards the man. The first movement he had done all fight. The man backed away, scared at the monster coming towards him. "Stay away," he said, trembling. In an act of desperation and stupidity he threw a kunai at Naruto, forgetting that it would just come right back at him, and it did. Right through his head, killing him. The fight was over and the ring around Naruto's wrist started glowing again. "Your vector control has improved," Orochimaru said with his twisted smile as he led Naruto back to his cell. "If you say so," Naruto said. He went back to his cell, sat down and started throwing the ball again. Naruto did not like it here. The experiments were frustrating and he was bored out of his mind. The first chance he got he was escaping, and he knew where he was going, to his family in the leaf. Naruto knew who he was. He was the son of the 4th Hokage and his wife Kushina. He had 2 twin sisters, Naruko and Minima, and a younger sister, Mito. Naruto knew all this because he made Orochimaru tell him. If he didn't, Naruto wouldn't participate in his experiments. Naruto also had knowledge on just about everything, since he also forced Orochimaru to bring him books to read. He knew all about the elemental nations and ninja life as a whole. He could name and theoretically do a bunch of elemental jutsu, only theoretically however, since Naruto only actually used vector control. It wasn't like Naruto was a huge knowledge nerd, it just seemed like a good way to kill time. Reading and throwing his ball were really the only things he ever did in his free time. Naruto had also seen pictures of his family and he had to admit he didn't look too much like any of them. He asked Orochimaru about, and it turns out his eyes were red due to Naruto getting a tiny amount of Kyuubi's chakra. It was so little that Orochimaru didn't really know what to do with it. So when Naruto was little, Orochimaru placed the demonic chakra in his eyes. This was really the only thing it could be used for. It gave him prefect night vision, but a side effect was his eyes turning red. The paleness of both his hair and body could be chalked up to his vector control. Naruto always had his body set to reflected vectors by default. This included sunlight, not like he got much of it anyways, so his body didn't have a need to create pigmentation. Orochimaru predicted his hair would turn white, but for whatever reason it didn't. This leads us into Naruto's ability. The ability to control vectors. In Naruto's opinion, he was pretty OP. Taijutsu was complete worthless against him, as he could just break any part of the body that hit him. Weapons along with ninjutsu were easily reflected back at the attacker. His reflection took up so little chakra that Naruto's chakra actually replenished itself faster than reflection took away. It was only if he was using actually offensive moves was he in any danger of running out of chakra. His only real weakness was genjutsu, and even that wasn't so much of a weakness. He can't reflect a genjutsu, but when he's caught in one he can just command the vectors in his chakra to go all over the place, thus breaking any genjutsu. The only problem was that Naruto's wasn't doing this all the time like he was with his regular reflection, so if he didn't realize he was in a genjutsu then he wouldn't break out of it. So if he was so powerful, why didn't he break out now? That was because of this damned glowing ring. Orochimaru had always had planned for him to be able to control vectors, so when he was still a baby he put a ring on him that had seals to cut off his chakra. When it was glowing, Naruto couldn't use vector control, and the only time it ever stopped glowing was during experiments. He also didn't know what kind of seals Orochimaru had on it, but for some reason he couldn't break the ring even if it wasn't glowing. Orochimaru had also been busy lately, so there weren't as many experiments. Naruto didn't know what he was busy with. Only that it started when Orochimaru started wearing those black cloaks with red clouds on them. That wasn't anything for Naruto to really think about, however. He would just bide his time until he could escape and go home, but that seemed far away, so for now he would just throw his ball. Thud, bounce, bounce, thud, bounce, bounce, thud. Asterisk Canova 2 years later asterisk. 5-year-old Mito was watching her older sister's training with her mom and dad. Mito had started the academy today, but did anyone congratulate her? No. All her parents cared about was how Naruko and Minamo were doing. She didn't even get to choice where they got to eat today. Naruko got to choice because she was starting a new year at the academy too, and Kami forbid they eat anything but ramen. The only good thing that came out of today was that Mito was in the same class as her two best friends. They were Hanabi Hyuga and Hitomi Uchiha. The three of them practically made up the entire shinobi-born ninja of their class, since it seemed that all the clans decided to avenge the year the Kyuubi attacked. Hanabi and Hitomi were however stronger than her, since their parents actually taught them stuff before entering the academy. What did Mito parents do? Focus all their attention on Naruko and Minamo, and it was all because Naruko was a bitch. It turned out that Naruko didn't get better control over the Kyuubi, no, she got worse. Naruko thought she was entitled to everything and that everyone should worship the ground she walked on. She had to get her way, and if she didn't she would throw a fit and demonic chakra would leak out. So her parents made sure she always got what she wanted. They thought that it would get better, but Mito knew that Naruko did it on purpose and would keep milking it as long as she could. Naruko also treated Mito like trash. She would always make fun of her and call her weak. Minamo wasn't as bad, but she was far from good. Because Naruko could cause her pain if she let out demonic chakra, Minamo was hesitant to talk back to Naruko or tell her no. Since Naruko liked to bully Mito, Minamo didn't want to hang out with Mito because Naruko might get mad if she saw her twin sister hanging out with the weak sister, as Naruko liked to call Mito. So Minima pretended Mito didn't exist. All this led to Mito not really caring about her sisters or her parents. Mito grew tired of watching her family train, so she headed up to her room. There was at least one sibling that Mito cared about, Naruto. Ever since she found out she had a lost older brother, she dreamed of the day he'd come back. He would be stronger than both Naruko and Minima combined, and he actually care about Mito and teach her cool ninjutsu. Mito took out her sketchbook where she had a dozen drawings of what she thought Naruto would look like. There was one where he had red hair that resembled fire. There was also one where he had blonde hair that fell over his left eyes like Minima. As Mito was looking through the sketches, she smelled something cooking. Her mom had probably finished dinner and forgot to call her down again. Mito went downstairs so she could at least have something to eat. The next day at the academy, Mito was eating lunch that she had to make herself, with Hanabi and Hitomi. "So Hanabi, how is your family training going?" Hitomi asked. "Hitomi, shouldn't talk about that. Mito would kill to be able to train with her family." Hanabi said. "No, it's okay, I want to hear about it too," Mito said. "Well, if it's okay. It's been going well, but I don't think my sister is getting it. I mean, I'm younger than her, yet I'm able to beat her in her sparring matches. That shouldn't happen, she's supposed to be the next clan head," Hanabi said thoughtfully. "I'm sure it will be fine. Even my sisters had to get lots of training before they became strong," Mito said. As much as she hated to admit it, her sisters were pretty strong for their age. "I wish I had siblings I could show them how cool I was with my Sharingan," Hitomi boasted. "You mean the Sharingan that you haven't awakened yet?" Mito pointed out, and Hitomi seemed to deflate. Hanabi and Mito giggled at their friend's antics. "It's not funny," Hitomi screamed, which only made the other two girls laugh harder. "Fine, forget you guys. I'm going back to class," Hitomi said as she stormed off. "Ah, come back," Mito said between laughing fits. "It was just that morning things were going so good, so how come by that night things would go so wrong? That night Itachi Uchiha murdered most of the Uchiha clan." Mito remembered it well. That night she was woken up by her parents and told to come downstairs while they got her sisters. When they were all downstairs, Minato started telling them the story that would cause Mito to become even more infuriated with her parents. "Girls, I came here to tell you that I had Itachi Uchiha kill the Uchiha clan," Minato said. "What, why?" Minima yelled. "They were planning a coup and all negotiations weren't working, so the only choice we had was to kill them in a single night. Itachi had the horrible job of doing it. The official announcement will be made tomorrow, but I thought I should tell you now just so you knew." "Wait, what about Hitomi?" Mito screamed, afraid that her friend was dead. Minato looked at her strangely. "I'm sorry, Mito, but who is that?" Mito couldn't believe it. Was her father so detached from her life that he didn't even know who her friends were? "Hitomi Uchiha, one of my best friends." "Oh, she should be okay. Any Uchiha under the age of 10 was spared because they weren't even told of the plot," Minato said, like it was no big deal that Mito could have lost one of her only friends. "Anyway, that's all I wanted to tell you. Can go back to bed." Mito went back to her room, but she did not sleep. She kept thinking how Hitomi must be feeling right now, because she was definitely not okay like her dad said. Didn't he understand that he ordered her parents to be killed, and he was the one that always spoke of how family was the most important thing? The next day the announcement of what Itachi did was made public and he was hailed as a hero. While the rest of the village was celebrating, Mito and Hanabi went to the building where they were keeping all the Uchihas that weren't killed. It was basically a glorified orphanage. They found Hitomi in her new room crying on her bed. "Hitomi!" Both Mito and Hanabi screamed as they jumped on her bed in an attempt to comfort her. "Are you okay?" Mito asked, even though she knew that Hitomi wasn't. "My parents are died," Hitomi shouted, even though she was also sobbing. "And the person who killed they is being treated like a god." Did you know that he and his little brother Sasuke get to still live in the Uchiha clan compound while all the other were sent to live here? I'm so sorry, Hitomi. I can't even imagine what you must be going through. Hanabi said, ready to cry herself. Do you know how many Uchihas are left? Mito asked. Hitomi wiped her eyes, but more tears filled their place. Including Itachi, there are 11 left. Only 11, that's terrible. Hanabi said, now crying. How many of them have awakened their Sharingan? Only Itachi. Hitomi said. In fact, Sasuke and I are the only ones even trying to become ninja. Every other Uchiha is either too young to join the academy or decided not to go. This is horrible. Mito said. The three girls didn't go to the academy that day, they stayed there helping Hitomi, who cried the entire day. Asterisk somewhere a few months later asterisk. Naruto was sitting in his cell like always, just waiting for the next experiment to being. He honestly didn't know what the point was. Everyone Orochimaru told him to fight were easily defeated. Naruto was getting really tired of sitting here, but Naruto was hopeful that he would get out soon because Orochimaru was nervous about something. Well, Orochimaru could never really be nervous about anything, but Naruto had noticed a change. For one, Orochimaru spent a lot more time at the base, like he was afraid to leave. Naruto thought it had something to do with those black cloaks that Orochimaru had stopped wearing some time ago. Naruto also sometimes heard Orochimaru talking to his assistant Kabuto about moving to a new base. Another good indicator was that the ring around Naruto's wrist was weakening. When it was glowing, Naruto still couldn't use his chakra, but when it wasn't, Naruto noticed he could now move the ring with his vector control, something that was impossible before. Although he couldn't break the ring, Naruto had high hopes that soon he would be able to escape. Soon came a lot earlier than expected, however. As Naruto was thinking about it, there was a huge explosion and someone screamed. Orochimaru, they're here. The Akatsuki. There were more explosions and the sound of metal hitting metal. Naruto stood up to go near the cell to hear better when Orochimaru appeared in front of him. Naruto, as you can hear, we're in a bit of trouble, so I appreciate if you would help me. Orochimaru said as he unlocked the cell door and the ring stopped glowing. Remember which side you're on. If you don't, things could go badly for you. Orochimaru said, pointing to the ring that he could activate anytime. Naruto didn't say anything and headed to the direction of the battle. Naruto chuckled to himself as he walked down the hall. There was no way he was following that snake anymore. As he walked down the hall a little farther, his first opponent appeared. It wasn't what he was expecting. His opponent wasn't even human, it was some sort of puppet. It was holding a sword and had a blue chakra string attracted to his back. The chakra string went back down the hall and around a corner where the puppeteer was probably fighting. The puppet wasn't any threat to Naruto, but Naruto needed it. The puppet swung his sword at Naruto. Naruto blocked with the ring. The ring didn't take any damage, but Naruto expected that. The puppet swung again, this time at Naruto's neck, but Naruto used his vector control to redirect the attack at the ring. This went on for a while. No matter where the puppet attacked, it would always end up hitting the ring, and slowly the ring began to crack. Once it was filled with cracks, Naruto was able to use his vectors to break apart the weakened ring. Naruto had the biggest grin on his face. He was finally free from Orochimaru. He didn't even notice the puppet taking another swing, but this time the sword shattered when it came close to Naruto. Then Naruto grabbed the puppet and it shattered too. Well, time to get out of here. Naruto looked up at the ceiling. He knew this base was underground, so all he had to do was go up. He stomped the ground with his feet and was sent flying through the roof and several layers of dirt before he broke through to the surface. Naruto was in some sort of forest. He had only been to the surface a couple times before. Orochimaru had to take him up for experiment evolving controlling the wind because the underground base wasn't well suited for it. Naruto started running as he used the vectors under his feet to push him forward. He didn't know what direction he was going in, but any direction was fine, he would find out where he was later. After an hour of running, although it wasn't really running, Naruto came across a small village. It wasn't much, but it would tell him where he was and he could get some basic supplies. He probably also needed to get some new clothes. His current outfit was falling apart due to being the only thing he had worn for years. Yeah, he defiantly needed clothes. Naruto was on his way to the hidden leaf with new clothes and a map. He had kept the black shinobi shoes, but he had bought blue shinobi pants and a basic white long-sleeve shirt. He got the money by going around to different stores and offering to sweep the floors for a super low price. The owner would get a huge deal, and since Naruto used his vector control to force all the dust out in a matter of seconds, he got money for doing basically nothing. Naruto did this until he got enough money to buy supplies. The only problem was that he was far away from the leaf. It would take some time to get there, but it would be worth it in the end, at least he hoped. 1 week later. Naruto could see the gates. It had taken him forever and a half to get here, and it was past midnight when he finally did, but he was here now. He walked up to the guard station where there were 2 people who looked very tried. "State your business," one of the guards said in a tone that didn't make it seem like he actually cared. "Hello, I'm here because I'm the Hokage's son," Naruto said. The 2 guards shot to attention instantly, but they looked pissed. "Are you trying to be funny, kid?" one of the guards said seriously. Naruto was confused. Why did they suddenly become so angry? "You think impersonating the Hokage's dead son is some kind of joke?" the other guard spat. "DD dead?" Naruto stuttered. "Yes. He was taken a long time ago, and no matter how much the Hokage's family wants to believe it, there is no way he is still alive. So I'll ask you again, where do you get off?" the guard said as he reached to grab the collar of Naruto's shirt. But since Naruto's always had his reflection active, the guard's hand never made it. Instead, his wrist broke with a loud snap. The man screamed in pain before turning to his partner. "Did you see that this kid's dangerous? He might be trying to attack the village called Umbu," he said. Naruto was freaking out. They were calling Umbu to get him? So Naruto did the only logical thing and ran away from Konoha. He was so scared he forgot to push himself with vectors. In the distance he heard the guard scream, "Yeah, you better run, you monster, but you won't get very far." Naruto ran for a little bit before stopping to catch his breath. He wasn't used to running like a regular person. He was breathing heavily, trying to think of a plan, when he heard something land in front of him. Naruto looked up to see a leaf Umbu ninja. "Well, you don't look like much of a threat, but monsters come in all shapes and sizes," the Umbu said before lunging at Naruto. "Just leave me alone," Naruto screamed. He used his vectors to create a cyclone of wind and sent it at the Umbu. The Umbu was quick to dodge, but was blindsided by another cyclone which torn him to shreds. After the Umbu was reduced to a bloody mess, Naruto fell to his knees, and for the first time in his life he started crying. What went wrong? How can the son of the Hokage be dead? He was right here. Then Naruto was hit by a horrible idea. What if Orochimaru had lied to him? What if he wasn't the Hokage's son? That would make sense. Orochimaru had no reason to tell him who his real family was. He could have said that he was a son of the Hokage because he knew that if Naruto ever escaped, that he would head to the leaf. It all made perfect sense. Naruto was lied to and he fell for it. Naruto wiped the tears away and stood up. He needed a new plan, but before that he needed a new name. The Hokage did have a son and his name was Naruto, that much was certain. But the person standing here was not Naruto. He would need a new identity so his actions wouldn't reflect on the real Naruto. But what should his new name be? Naruto thought about it for a little bit. Accelerator, Naruto said, testing out the name. Yes, that will be it. My name is Accelerator. So what happened to him? Minato asked. He was in an examination room with Tsunade, who had just finished the autopsy on the Umbu ninja that was found dead. Well, for starters, he must have been killed instantly, because if he hadn't, he would have destroyed his body, Tsunade said. Now, as for the cause of death, he has multiple large cuts all over his body. He would have bleed out, but the cuts aren't what killed him. He was crushed to death. What? But all these injuries suggest he was hit by a wind jutsu? Minato said in shock. Exactly, normal wind jutsus only cuts the target. Tsunade said, smiling with interest. The only explanation is either this was a super powerful wind justice or dash. It wasn't a wind jutsu. Minato said. What about the guards? Tsunade gave Minato a smile. That part is even more interesting than the Umbu's case. The guard's testimony stated that a young boy walked up to the gates. When the guard asked him what his business was, the boy said, just regular business. Then one of the guards reached to collect the boy's papers. When he did, his wrist suddenly broke, and the boy ran away. That's when Umbu were called. Minato thought about it for a minute. That is strange. Why would that boy show up just to break the guard's wrist then run away? Do we have a picture of the boy? We're having an artist drawing a picture of the boy from the guard's account right now. Tsunade said. Alright, it doesn't look like there is much we can do until that picture is finished. Minato said, getting ready to leave. Actually, there is one more thing. Tsunade said, stopping Minato in his tracks. Remember, the guard said his wrist suddenly broke, not the boy broke his wrist. Then how was his wrist broken? Minato asked, now very curious. That I'm not so sure about. Tsunade said, sounding disappointed. You see, his wrist wasn't broken by someone grabbing his hand and snapping it. No, it was like he was pushing his hand against a wall until his hand was pushed far enough back that his wrist broke. As for why it's like that, I have no idea. Minato thought about it and couldn't come up with an explanation either. What in the world is going on? 2 years later. Hanabi was training in her family dojo under her dad's observation. She was once again sparring against her older sister Hinata. It was completely one-sided. Hanabi had already closed off most of Hinata's chakra points while Hinata had yet to land a hit. That's enough. Hayashi said, sounding displeased. Hinata, you are dismissed. Hi. Hinata said, quickly leaving the room. Hanabi was exhausted and wanted to be dismissed too, but that wasn't going to happen. Hanabi, you need to increase your endurance. How will you lead this clan if you're so tried after just 1 day of training? Hanabi wanted to tell him that his 1 day of training was what most Chunin did. She was only an academy student, not even a fully fledged ninja. Even if it was decided that Hanabi would be the clan head instead of Hinata, it didn't mean he could beat her in the ground. If only Hinata wasn't so weak, then Hanabi wouldn't have to pick up her slack. Anyways, let's get back to training. Hayashi said. Hanabi was finally done after 2 more hours of learning new gentle fist stances. Hayashi dismissed Hanabi. Hanabi opened the door to the dojo, only thinking about falling asleep in her bed. Hanabi, before you go, I think you should know that I'm thinking about teaching you the birdcage seal soon. Hayashi said. Hi, was Hanabi's only response. She walked quickly to her room, afraid she would say something she would regret later. Hanabi didn't want to learn the birdcage seal. It would just give the side branch family more reason to hate her. They already weren't a big fan of her since she was going to be the future head. What was worse is she knew that Niji was miles ahead of her in terms of skill. He was 3 years older, but so was Hinata. It not even like Hanabi could test her skills against him because Kami forbid that a main branch member and a side branch member spare. Even though he and Hinata used to spare all the time, the Hyugas just pissed Hanabi off. The next day, Hanabi, Hitomi and Mito were eating lunch at the academy just like always. Although nowadays, it wasn't just Mito complaining about her family. Yeah, my dad wants to teach me the birdcage seal. Which will just give Niji another reason to preach about fate. Hanabi said, angrily biting into her sandwich. You want to know what happened today? Mito said. Jiraiya came by and let my sisters sign the toad contract. On the other hand, my present was I got to watch my sisters try and summon a toad. But they're older than you, so it's natural for them to get things first. Hitomi said. I guess, but I'm positive that when I turn 10 I won't get to sign the contract after all my parents haven't given me a single kunai. Mito said. They sat there in silence for a little bit before Mito said. We should leave. You can't be serious? Hitomi said. Why not? Mito said. Hanabi and I hate our families, and you hate Itachi for killing yours. Why should we have to protect the leaf when we don't even like it? We would never make it. Hanabi said. We aren't just some random ninjas, we're the daughter of the Hokage, the last of only a handful of Uchihas, and the future heir to the Hyuga. The village isn't going to let another of the Hokage's kids and its two most important dojutsu go. The moment they realize we're gone they'll send every Umbu team they have after us. But if we cross the border before they realize we're gone then they can't follow us. Mito suggested. Alright, let's say by some miracle that happens, where would we go? Hitomi asked. We have to have some place to hide because Konoha isn't the only village that would send out every Umbu team to get the Sharingan and the Byakugan. Let's not forget we're academy students, we can't fight off ninja without help. Mito though about it. What about finding my brother? We don't know where he is. Hanabi pointed out. And even if we did then we would just become another test subject for Orochimaru, which is worse than being captured by another village. What if he's not with Orochimaru anymore? Mito stated. Then that brings up a lot of other problems. Hanabi said. If he's not with Orochimaru, why didn't he come back to the leaf? If we did find him, would he even be strong enough to protect us? Will he even want to protect us? Let's not forget, to even find him we would have to know where he was and outrun the leaf's Umbu. That a lot of what ifs. Mito didn't look happy. Fine, I guess you're right. Mito said, thinking about her brother a little more. I wonder what he's doing right now. Somewhere. Look what we've got here. A bandit said to his fellow bandits. They were watching a very pale boy with a bag slung over his shoulder walking down the road. The bandits were following behind him. I wonder what's in the bag. Another bandit said. I don't know, let's find out. A bandit said. Hey buddy, why don't you give us your bag and we won't hurt you? The bandit yelled. The pale boy just kept walking, however, like he didn't even hear them. Hey, don't ignore us. The bandit screamed, yet the boy kept walking. That's it. The bandit said angrily. He pulled his sword and charged the boy from behind. But when the bandit swung his sword at the boy's neck, he was sent flying backwards. What the hell? The bandit said from his new position on the floor. The bandits had finally caught the boy's attention as he turned around to see what hit him. That's when the bandit saw his glaring red eyes. The boy looked over every bandit before smiling. Sorry guys, you see I was reflecting all the sound away from me so I didn't hear you. If I did I could have killed you much sooner. The boy said with a slight chuckle. Who are you? The now terrified bandit said. I'm Accelerator, but that hardly matters now. The boy said before he seemingly pushed off the ground and came flying at them. The bandit's screams could be heard from a mile away, but those who did hear it weren't sure if it was real or their imagination because it only lasted for a couple seconds. After Naruto dealt with the bandits, he once again started reflecting sound vectors away from him and continued on his way. He didn't actually have a destination, he had just been wandering around ever since he left Orochimaru. His bag only contained camping equipment and a few pairs of clothes. After the incident with the leaf, he didn't really have a purpose anymore. He didn't blame the leaf, after all it wasn't their fault that he believed Orochimaru's lie. He supposed he had been pretty stupid to believe that he was the son of the Hokage. After all, he didn't even look like the Hokage. That was all in the past though. Now he was looking towards the future. Unfortunately, he didn't know what he was looking for. Naruto knew he wanted to settle down somewhere, but where that was Naruto had no idea. Naruto actually found enjoyment in killing people like those bandits. Now he wasn't psychotic, he didn't just kill people for fun or just because he wanted to. It was more like when he was attacked or someone just pissed him off, the best option was just to kill them. That trait in Naruto's power would set him on the path to be a ninja, and Naruto already considered himself a ninja, so he should live in a shinobi village. Naruto didn't really want to, however. Having to report to the leader and being limited on where he could go and what he could do just didn't appeal to him. Wherever he went, he would be able to do whatever he wanted. So until he found that place, he would keep wandering, but just like how he felt that he was soon going to be free from Orochimaru, he also felt that he would find that place very soon. 2 weeks later. Naruto liked it here. He was in a good-sized city located in the Land of Frost. The town was somewhat near the border to the Land of Lighting, but it was out of the way enough that there wasn't too many lighting ninja coming through. Naruto didn't know why he liked it here, he just did. The town wasn't special and it didn't have any defining traits. It wasn't super peaceful, but it wasn't super violent. It just seemed like any other town you would come across, but Naruto liked it, so this is where he would live. He already found an apartment he liked, but he needed money. Naruto had never carried a lot of money, so he needed to get some. He didn't really want to have to work for the money, so the next best thing was looting. Naruto heard about a bandit camp not too far from the city. He would just go there, kill the bandits, and take their money easy. It only took Naruto 2 hours to walk all the way to the camp. Naruto could see about 20 or so bandits all over the camp. Most of them were drinking or passed out from drinking. Naruto was a little skeptical if they even had any money after buying all that beer, but there was only one way to find out. Time to give them a wake-up call. Naruto stomped the ground and a miniature earthquake hit the camp. The ground cracked, tents and tablets fell over, and so did the bandits. Before the bandits even knew what was going on, Naruto rushed them using vectors to enhance his strength and speed. He grabbed the first bandit and threw him towards another group of bandits. There were a bunch of small rocks that were scattered around from Naruto's earthquake. Now most people wouldn't think of these as weapons, but for Naruto they were. He simply kicked one of the pebbles and used vectors to greatly increase its speed. It was going so fast that when it hit a bandit it tore right through him. By now the bandits had finally realized they were being attacked. They pulled out all sorts of weapons. There was one who pulled out a crossbow which he used to shoot Naruto. Now normally the arrow would have been sent right back at him, but Naruto changed its course ever so slightly, so instead of hitting Naruto it hit another bandit. The bandit, thinking he had only missed, fired another arrow. Naruto once again changed its course to hit another bandit. Naruto decided to play a little game with himself. He would try to guess how many arrows the bandit would shoot at him before he realized that Naruto was the one changing the course. He guessed 5. Well, this bandit was either really stupid or really drunk, because he shot a total of 12 arrows before he realized something was wrong. Naruto wanted to break out laughing. How anyone could be that stupid was beyond Naruto. Due to that one guy there were only about 6 more bandits left and Naruto was getting bored. It was time to end this and look for the money. Naruto picked up a handful of pebbles and started flicking them at the bandits. They were sped up, of course, and the bandits had no hope of dodging. Once they were all dead, Naruto started looking around. He found a bunch of stuff that looked like it could be valuable, but Naruto only wanted cash. It would be too much trouble to find buyers to sell all this stuff to. He did find enough money for now, and he even found some stuff he could decorate his apartment with. Naruto decided that this was a much better than getting a job. With his newfound treasure he walked back to the city. 1 year later. So your accelerator, you don't look like much. You're even younger than me, the boy said. Naruto sighed. He was having such a good day until these guys showed up. It was a genin team from Kumogakure and it looked like they were here to kill him, but just to make sure. I am. What do you want? Naruto said, not sounding the least bit interested. We're here to take you down. The same boy said, crossing his arms like he expected Naruto to beg for mercy. Why? Naruto said. He was actually wondering why Kumo said a genin team after him. The Jounin instructor answered this time. Because you have taken out at least 3 bandit camps and have killed a lot of bandits. Naruto didn't see why that was a problem. Isn't taking out bandit camps what genin teams normally do? Maybe they didn't like Naruto taking away all the C-rank missions. He had been destroying a bandit camp every few months to get some money. Because of that, a lot of bandits had packed up and left the land of Frost for fear of being attacked by him. Maybe Kumo didn't like cleaning up after the destruction he caused. It didn't really matter, he had to focus on the problem at hand. The three genin were standing in front of their Jonin instructor getting ready for a battle. The Jonin had his arms crossed and looked like he was just going to observe the genin and not actually do any fighting. They probably didn't think Naruto was a serious threat. After all, the only thing he had done was destroy a few bandit camps, nothing a low-level Chunin couldn't have done. If in fact he was a low-level Chunin, then a genin team should be able to deal with him, but Naruto was not a low-level Chunin. He would have to show them that the hard way. "Come at me," he said. Two of the genin disappeared from sight while the one who had first spoken to Naruto charged at him with a kunai. "Well, aren't you arrogant?" Naruto said. As the boy got closer, two hands shot up from the ground underneath Naruto. The hands tried to grab Naruto's ankles only for their wrist to be broken. At the same time, Naruto felt a kunai touch his back, but it was reflected and there was a cry of pain. Then Naruto stomped the ground, causing rocks to fly up and hit the genin that was running towards him. This caused the boy to fly up a little bit. Naruto grabbed the boy's wrist. He swung him around so fast that he ripped the boy's arm out of his socket. The boy fell to the ground crying as he held his now stub of an arm. The Jonin instructor looked at Naruto with absolute shock and terror at how fast he had taken care of the genin. Naruto gave him his sadistic smile and held up the arm of the boy. "Would you like this back?" The Jonin looked angry but didn't say anything. Then with incredible speed collected the boy and set him on the ground away from Naruto. Then he once again ran past Naruto to collect another boy who had a kunai embedded in his stomach. The Jonin set the boy next to the other boy. "Don't worry, we'll get you medical attention soon," he said, although he sounded very worried. Naruto took one step forward and the Jonin instantly turned his head to look at Naruto. "Are you sure? Because I'm not one to let people who attack me live," Naruto said. The Jonin stood up and looked at Naruto with fire in his eyes. "I'm going to kill you," he said. He then went through a set of hand signs. Lightning release, electromagnetic murder. The Jonin screamed as a wave of electricity was fired at Naruto. Naruto threw the arm he was still holding at the electricity. The electricity tore through the arm, turning it black and crispy. The electricity continued towards Naruto, and just like everything else, when it made contact it was reflected back at the owner. The Jonin had no choice but to cancel the jutsu and jump away. When he did, Naruto pushed off the ground, which sent him fly towards the Jonin. The Jonin, unable to move in midair, had to block Naruto's kick. The kick was so strong it sent him flying into a tree. The Jonin tried to get up, but Naruto flew at him again, this time kicking him through the tree. The Jonin was now on his back covered in blood. He was too hurt to get up as Naruto walked towards him. "You weren't as strong as I thought you'd be," Naruto said. The Jonin didn't say anything, he just looked at Naruto with hate in his eyes. Naruto wasn't bothered. He just kicked the Jonin head, which let him control the vectors in his neck, letting Naruto snap it. Naruto then walked over to the two genin who were still lying on the ground, obviously in pain. "Just remember, you were the ones who attacked me," Naruto said before walking over to a nearby tree and tapping it with his hand. The tree uprooted itself and levitated over to the genin. "Goodbye," Naruto said as the tree dropped on the genin, crushing them. Naruto smiled at his handiwork. "That was great, but where's the third one?" Naruto said, looked around. It would just be a pain in the ass to look for him, so I guess I'll just go home," Naruto said to himself, choosing to let the last genin get away. A couple days later, a bounty hunter attacked Naruto. After Naruto dealt with him, he took the bingo book the bounty hunter had with him. Naruto guessed that he had been placed in the bingo book after his little stunt with the Kumo ninja. He skimmed the pages until sure enough he found himself Somehow they had gotten a picture of him and under it said, Accelerator. Wanted for killing Kumo Ninja. Wanted by Kumogakure. Threat, B. Afflation, none. Last scene, Land of Frost. Naruto looked at the book for a little bit, letting it sink in. He was surprised he was only a B-rank threat, but they probably still didn't know how powerful he truly was. He threw the book away in a nearby trash can. It didn't matter to him if he was wanted or not. He wasn't going to run away just because some bounty hunters were going to come after him. No, he was staying right here. 1 year later. Mito was cleaning out her father's office. It was life-draining. She had to go through every file he kept here and determine which ones he should keep and which ones should be moved to the archives. She had been at this for 5 hours straight and she wasn't even close to being finished. At the very least, Hitomi and Hanabi had agreed to come over and help. Mito hoped they would show up soon. It was all Naruko's fault that she was even doing this. Earlier today, Mito had been practicing her taijutsu in the mansion's training ground when Naruko walked in. Ah, that's so cute. Does little Mito really think she can be a ninja? Naruko said mockingly. Mito didn't say anything or do anything to acknowledge Naruko, which made Naruko mad. Did you know that in a couple of weeks Minama and I will become full-fledged shinobi? Mito still didn't respond, which pissed Naruko off even more. You know, we'll be going out of the village for missions. We might even run across Naruto. That caught Mito's attention. I bet he's just as weak and pathetic as you, or maybe Orochimaru already killed him and we'll find his corpse. Naruko said with a smile, knowing she was getting to Mito. Naruko knew about Mito's fixation on their brother. She had sunk into Mito's room a while back and found the sketchbook with all the drawings of their brother. So Naruko knew just what to say to piss Mito off, and it worked. You shut up, Naruto's is alive and a way better ninja than you will ever be. Mito yelled. Then he must be too embarrassed of having a weak little sister like you to come back to the leaf. Naruko said. This pissed Mito off. She charged at Naruko and punched her in the face. Mito expected Naruko to dodge since she was better than Mito, but she didn't. She stood there and took it, and after she did, an evil smile graced her lips. Demonic chakra leaked out of Naruko along with the killer instinct it naturally produced. It scared Mito and she backed away in fear. It wasn't long before Minato and Kushina burst through the doors, having sensed the demonic chakra. Minato quickly placed a seal on Naruko that repressed the chakra. Kushina looked at Naruko with worry. Naruko, what happened? Why did your demonic chakra start leaking? Naruko put on a good performance. She held her cheek and had tears in her eyes. Mito hit me and I just got so mad. Naruko said as she started cry. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. Kushina embraced the crying girl while Minato walked over to Mito. Mito, you know you should never hit Naruko. Minato yelled. I'm sorry. Was all Mito could say. You will be sorry because now you have to organize all the flies in my office. Minato said with his arms crossed. That was the story Mito told Hanabi and Hitomi when they arrived. That's terrible. Hitomi said after hearing the story. Yeah, it was really great for you two to show up. I'm really thankful. Mito said. Hey, that's what friends are for, so where do we start? Hanabi said. The pace went a lot faster with Hitomi's and Hanabi's help. They were almost done when Mito grabbed a new file and was shocked at its contents. Inside was a sketch of a very pale boy with red eyes. There was a paper describing an incident where an umbu was found dead and a gate guard was hurt. Hey Hanabi, Hitomi, come look at this. Mito said. The girls came over to look at the picture. What about it? Hitomi asked. Doesn't this guy look like Minato? Mito said. Hanabi and Hitomi deadpanned. They looked at the picture really hard and tried to imagine him as Minato. No, they both said. Mito looked at them, obviously frustrated. Stay here, she said as she left the room. A little bit later she came back with her sketchbook. Maybe it's because you two don't do sketches, but look. She started drawing a picture of Minato. The features on that guy are the exact same as Minato's. She colored Minato in so it looked exactly like Minato. Would you two agree that looks like Minato? Yeah, they both said. Now look at this. Mito said as she erased Minato's hair and replaced it to what the boy's hair looked like. All I've done is change the way his hair looks. Does it still look like Minato? Mito asked. It's a little weird seeing him with that kind of hair, but yeah, I could see him as Minato. Hitomi said. So what? Mito smiled. You two are to focus on color if I do this. Mito changed the color of Minato's hair to a pale blonde. His eyes to a red and made his skin much paler. Hitomi and Hanabi stepped back in shock. The picture now looked like a direct copy of the guy in the file. Do you see it now? But how is that possible? Hanabi asked. There's only one explanation. Mito said with a smile. The person in this picture is my brother Naruto. But if that's true, then why did he attack a guard and kill an Umbu? Hitomi said, still trying to figure it all out. I don't know, but when we see him we can ask him. Mito said, partially glowing with happiness. Wait, don't you think you getting ahead of yourself? Hanabi said. This file at 2 years old. He could be anywhere now. Hanabi immediately regretted saying that as all the happiness Mito just had faded away. Hey, don't be sad, I'm sure we'll think of something. Hanabi said, trying to backtrack. Actually, I thought of something already. Hitomi said. Mito and Hanabi looked at her with bated breath. Look, according to the incident report, an Umbu was found dead. That means even at a young age Naruto had skills at least as great as an Umbu. Plus by the looks of it Naruto isn't with any village, so where do powerful ninja that other ninja villages don't want wandering around end up? Hanabi's and Mito's faces lit up in realization. The bingo book. They both said. Do you really think he could be in the bingo book? Mito asked. Well, I'll admit it's a long shot, but it's her best bet. Hitomi said. Come on, let's look around. I'm sure my dad has a bingo book in here somewhere. Mito said. The girls looked all over the office, leaving no drawer unopened until they found a bingo book. The girls waited with anticipation while they flipped through the pages. When they finally found his picture, they had a small celebration. Accelerator. Wanted for killing Kumo Ninja. Wanted by Kumogakure. Threat, B. Afflation, none. Location, Land of Frost. Man, Mito, your brother is a big shot. Only 12 and he's already a B-rank threat. Hitomi said. Your sisters aren't even full-fledged ninja yet. Accelerator is a pretty cool name too. Hanabi said. Mito wasn't hearing them, however. She was only focused on one thing. Location, Land of Frost. After so long of dreaming of her brother and wondering what he was doing, she finally knew where he was. Hey, why does it say location? Shouldn't it say last seen? Mito asked. Oh, that just means he doesn't really move from that location. Which is good since it's easier for us. Hitomi said. Should we tell your dad about this? Hanabi asked. No. Mito flatly said. Hanabi and Hitomi were a little shocked by her response. But why? I thought you wanted your brother to come home. Hanabi asked. I did, but now I want to go see my brother. I'm sick of this village. I'm leaving it. Mito said with the most serious expressing Hanabi and Hitomi had ever seen. Hitomi just smiled. If that's the case, do you think you could share your brother with one more? She said. Hitomi, are you sure? Mito asked. Mito, I haven't liked this village ever since Itachi killed the Uchiha clan. He got treated like a hero because he stopped the coup. While all the other Uchiha were treated like trash because they were the children of the people who wanted to betray the leaf. Of course I'm sure. Hitomi said just as seriously as Mito. You two are crazy. You know we'll be hunted down by Umbu. Hanabi said. We'll? Mito said looking at Hanabi. Of course you aren't the only one who's sick of their family. Hanabi said. I can't take the way the Hyugas do things anymore. I've wanted to leave for a while now. Well, it looks like us three are going to become missing Nin. Mito said. Don't get ahead of yourself. Hanabi warned. We still have to find a way to get out of the village with enough time to cross the border before they notice us. You know, in a couple days our class is doing a survival exercise. Where we head outside the village walls under the guidance of a genin who's supposed to teach us some survival techniques. Hitomi said. That would be a good time to leave, and no one would question us for binging survival supplies. Alright, that's when we'll leave and find my brother. Mito said. In the days following the survival exercise, the three girls packed everything they would need. When they were questioned about it, they would just say they were preparing for the exercise. When the day finally came, the girls made sure they were in the same group. Okay, everyone, make sure you listen to your genin instructor. The teacher said. Don't worry, we have Chunin set up nearby, so if anything goes wrong we'll be right over. So let's get started. Hi, the class said. Mito, Hanabi and Hitomi walked out the gates with the genin instructor. He looked extremely pleased with himself for getting such high-tier students. Alright, let me tell you about what to expect on missions. He said, and then told a bunch of stories about the missions he had gone on. They were mostly about him doing something cool. After an hour walk, Mito gave the signal to Hanabi, which was Mito dropping a kunai. You should be more careful with your stuff. The genin said. Right, I'm sorry. Mito said, trying to look embarrassed. Excuses me, but could you have a look at this? Hanabi said from behind the genin. Sure, what is it? The genin said, turning to face Hanabi, only for Hanabi to slam her palm into the genin's stomach. The genin doubled over, where Hanabi proceeded to close off all his chakra points, which knock him out. Okay, let's go. Mito said as the girls ran off. Mito took out a map and started planning the route as they ran. Okay, so in order to get to the Land of Frost we have to go through the Land of Hot Water. It doesn't have a ninja village, so once we cross the border we should be okay. How long do we have till they discover the genin? Hitomi asked. If something went wrong, then the genin was supposed to call the Chunin standing by, but since he didn't, they won't think anything wrong until near the end of the exercise. Hanabi said. That gives us a good few hours. Mito said as they ran far away from Konoha. What these girls did would later be considered the second greatest incident the fourth Hokage would ever have. Some would even say that it was the greatest incident he'd ever have, even higher than the Kyuubi attack. It was chaos. An emergency council meeting had been called after the disappearance of Hitomi Uchiha, Hanabi Hyuga, and Minato's own daughter Mito Namikaze. All the clan heads were present along with the civilian council. Minato also had to be there, although he didn't want to be. He wanted to be out there looking for his daughter because he'd be damned if he lost another child. Kushina felt the same way as she was out there looking for them along with every Umbu squad Minato had. How Minato wanted to be out there, but he had to sit here and answer these idiots' questions that they would ask over and over again. How much of a head start did they get? A random council member asked. A good 3 hours. Minato replied for what felt like the 5th time today. Where are they heading? We don't know. Who took them? We don't know. Minato was getting really frustrated with these questions. No amount of talking was going to fix the problem, and by the looks of it Itachi and Hayashi felt the same way. They didn't seem like they were worried from the outside, but Minato knew they wanted to be out looking too. Minato knew that Hayashi had already ordered the Hyugas to assist the Umbu. Plus the way that they looked at anyone who asked yet another pointless question was more than enough to figure out that they didn't want to be here. Minato finally had enough. Listen, you are just repeating the same questions over and over again, so I think we should call this meeting of dash. Do you know for sure they were taken? What if they ran away on their own accord? A voice said, but not just any random voice, the voice of Danzo. Danzo's question finally got the council to shut up, but not in the way Minato wanted. And just what reason would they have to run away? Minato said angrily. Danzo stood up to make his point. Your daughter and the Hyuga heiress have been spending quite a bit of time around Hitomi Uchiha, correct? Yes, Minato said, though he didn't see why it mattered. May I remind you that not so long ago the Uchiha attempted a coup? Danzo said. In order to stop the coup we killed the Uchiha clan, but under the assumption that the kids didn't know anything we let them live. But what if we were wrong? What if Hitomi did know and wanted to take down the leaf? She would need the help of foreign allies. What if she ran away to get them and convinced your daughter and the Hyuga to come with her? That is no evidence to support they ran away. Minato said, losing his temper. Is there any evidence to support they were taken? Danzo replied. Mito, Hanabi and Hitomi were running as fast as they could. That was their only plan. They didn't know how to cover their tracks, so all they could do was run and hope they made it into the land of hot water before they were caught. How much farther? Hitomi asked. We should almost be at the border. Mito said. Do you think they found the genin yet? Hitomi asked. Definitely. Hanabi said. Which is all the more reason we need to make it to the border. They had a lot less time than they thought, however, because Kushina and her Umbu squad weren't that far behind. They had found the tracks a while ago and had been running along it ever since. These tracks are more recent. We must be getting close. Kushina said. Even with the 3-hour head start, Kushina was closing in mainly due to her using tree hopping. Where are we heading? Kushina asked the Umbu behind her. On this current path we'll hit the land of hot water. He replied. Shit, Kushina though. The land of hot water isn't their ally, so if they don't catch them before they make it across the border, then they'll have to contact the daimyo to cross the border themselves. It would take too long, however, and they lose the tracks. How close is the border? Kushina asked. Too close. The Umbu replied. Pick up the pace. Kushina yelled as she herself went even faster. She would not lose another child. Kushina ran as fast as she could, only her daughter's safety on her mind, but in the end. Lady Kushina, stop! One of the Umbu yelled. Kushina stopped on reaction alone. Why should I? We still haven't found them. She yelled back. Because we've hit the border, we can't go any farther. The Umbu replied. Kushina looked in front of her, and sure enough the markings that divided the border were there. They didn't make it in time. Tell my husband to contact the land of hot water's daimyo right now. Kushina yelled. The Umbu actually looked a little frightened as he ran back to the village. We should go back too, Lady Kushina. It will at the very least be a day before we can cross over. Another Umbu said. No, I'm staying right here. It will give my husband more motivation to contact the daimyo as fast as he can. Kushina said stubbornly. Mito, Hanabi and Hitomi all had their hands on their knees and were breathing heavily. They had crossed the border and ran a little farther, so they were out of sight, because if Umbu reached the border and could still see them, they might just run across the border to get them. Although they didn't know how good of a decision it was, because Kushina arrived at the border a mere 4 minutes before they crossed it. We made it. I can't believe it. Hitomi said through bated breath. We haven't made it yet. Mito said. There's no doubt that they'll request entrance to the land of hot water, but if we can blend ourselves in with the foot traffic and make it to the land of frost, then they'll have no idea where we went. How long will it take for them to get entrance? Hitomi asked. For so many normally a couple days. Mito said. But since we're such important people, they'll probably be able to do it in a day. Maybe even less since the land of hot water doesn't have a ninja village. So what you're saying is that we don't get any rest? Hanabi said. Is that a problem for you? Mito asked, giving Hanabi a smirk. Hanabi also gave Mito a smirk before taking her hands off her knees and standing up straight. Of course not, I'm just worried about you. We don't want to bring you to your brother half dead. It took almost a day and a half to get permission to enter the land of hot water. When the OK came in, Kushina and Umbu searched up and down the land of hot water, but it was too late. The trail had disappeared. The girls could be anywhere. Kushina had to report back to the Leaf and tell everyone that she had failed to find them. When she made it back, the first thing she did was head home and hopefully get some rest, but when she walked in the door late at night, Minato was sitting there. Apparently he had been waiting for her. How'd it go? He asked, although he already knew the answer. Kushina, having had to be tough in front of the Umbu squad, finally broke down in tears as she walked over and collapsed on Minato. We lost another one, Minato. We must be the worst parents in the world. How could we let Mito be taken? Minato rubbed Kushina's head, trying to calm her down. That might not be the case, Minato said. Kushina looked up at her husband. What do you mean? Minato explained Danzo's theory. That is complete crap. No way those girls would leave the village on their own accord. Minato took a deep breath. Kushina wasn't going to like this. Hell, he didn't like. Actually, there is a lot of evidence to support they left on their own. Kushina looked at Minato, not believing a word. Examination on the genin that was attacked revealed that his chakra points were seal. When the boy woke up, her confirmed it was Hanabi Hyuga who attacked him. No, Kushina said, feeling like the weight of the world had just been placed on her shoulders. That can't be. Are you telling me that you believe Danzo? No, I don't believe him, but I do believe that Mito and the other weren't taken. Minato said, trying not to cry himself. Why would they leave? Kushina said. I don't know, but we'll find out. I'm calling Jiraiya back to the village. He'll be here for an extended stay, so when his spy network finds them, we'll know right away. Minato said silently. They sat there and enjoying each other's comfort for a while. What about the girls? How are they doing? Kushina asked. I don't know, I told them and they just went up to their rooms and haven't come out since. Minato replied. It must be so hard on them. Kushina said. Minato told everyone who was involved that the mission was a failure the next day. He couldn't come out and say it publicly since he couldn't let the other villages know that there was a Hyuga and an Uchiha out there for the taking, but they probably find out soon. It was hard to keep this kind of thing under wraps. In the Hyuga compound, Hinata had been summoned by her father. Hinata, as you know, Hanabi has fled the village for unknown reasons. Hayashi said. As such, she cannot be the future head of this clan. So the responsibility has fallen back on you. Hi, Hinata said. Since you have not had the proper training, you will be taken out of the academy. This way we can make up for all the lost time we spent training Hanabi. We won't have to deal with your jounin instructor and you won't have to go on missions. Hayashi said. Hinata didn't want to leave the academy. She wanted to be a regular genin just like her friends, but she didn't dare go against her father. I understand. Hinata said. Good, we will start by going over the basics since if I recall correctly you still weren't able to master them. Hayashi said. In the Uchiha compound, Itachi and Sasuke were sitting at the table getting ready to eat. So do you really think that the Uchiha who ran away really wants to overthrow the Leaf? Sasuke asked. I highly doubt it. Danzo probably doesn't even believe it himself. Itachi said. He just wants an excuse to send his root ninja after them. Then why did she leave? Sasuke asked. Itachi thought about it for a moment. If it was just her that ran away, then I would say it was to get stronger than try and kill me. After all, I did kill her parents. She probably hates me, but since she's with 2 others, I really have no idea. It's not like she could ever kill you. You're way too strong, Sasuke said as he played with his food. You never know what the future can bring. I expected you'll be able to surpass me one day, Itachi said. Yeah, right, Sasuke said. At the Hokage's mansion, a lot less civil decisions was taking place. So Mito ran away with her little friends. That's just great, Naruko said. She and Minima were talking in the training guard inside the mansion. I bet she ran off because she got mad about me saying Naruto was weak, Naruko said, having no idea that she had actually guessed right, so she went to go find him and invited her friends to help. She'll get herself killed. Not like I care. No, she left because of you, Minima yelled. Minima had it with her sister. All Naruko did was trash talk people, and then if something didn't go her way, she would use the Kyuubi's chakra, then she would get whatever she wanted, and Minima had been letting it happen. Well, not any longer. Naruko was shocked that her sister would yell at her. Are you saying it my fault? Naruko asked, expecting Minima to backtrack and apologize. Yes, it is, Minima shouted. You talked down to her, tried your best to make her life a living hell, and even got me to ignore her. But worst of all, you used her missing brother as a trigger. Do you even care if Naruto ever comes back? Minima shouted with all the rage she had been amassing over these past years, and it felt good. Naruko was pissed. Minima never talked back to her. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Minima screamed. You only do the minimal work required and don't put an effort into becoming a stronger ninja. The only real attack you have at flaring you demonic chakra and using your title as the Hokage's daughter to get what you want. But that's not going to work on missions because people don't care who you are, and we both know you would never risk using your demonic chakra if Toussaint wasn't around to stop you. Are you calling me weak? Naruko yelled. Never has her skills ever been questioned before. That's right, the only reason you were stronger than Mito was because she never got any training, Minima said, crossing her arms. I'm weak, you say? Then let's see you handed this, Naruko said as she started leaking demonic chakra. That's not going to work anymore, Minima said. She slammed her hand on the ground. Naruko was wondering what she was doing when under her a bunch of golden chains came up through the ground and wrapped around her. When they did, they retracted, pulling Naruko with them. She was slammed into the ground, lying on her stomach, so she couldn't get up. Also, her demonic chakra was getting absorbed by the chains. How? When did you inherit Kasan's chains, and how are they taking my demonic chakra away? Naruko said, trashing around trying to break the chains. Kasan and I discovered it earlier this year. You would have known about it if you actually cared what my abilities were. As for taking your chakra, well, I asked Kasan if I could learn how to steal a person's chakra with these chains, and she taught me. Now normally you can't steal demonic chakra because it would take over the person's body, but I bet you forgot that I have some of the Kyuubi's chakra too. Naruko kept trying to leak demonic chakra, but it would just get absorbed. She couldn't do anything, she was stuck. Come on, Naruko, I thought you were super strong, but once you can't use your demonic chakra, you're as worthless as a baby, Minima said mockingly. Shut up, Naruko said as she continued to struggle. Face it, Naruko, you've lost, Minima said. How are you going to survive if you get caught so easily? I gave you plenty of time to dodge or use substitution, but you were so sure you could win with just demonic chakra that you didn't even think of doing or using something else. If you don't change, you're going to die, and then I'll have lost 3 siblings, Minima said sadly, then dispelled her chains and walked away, giving Naruko a lot to think about. Land of Frost. Mito, Hanabi and Hitomi were walking down a road on their way to the city Naruto was in. They were all wearing white traveling cloaks that they had brought with them. Damn, why is it so cold? Hitomi said, hugging her cloak closer to her body. Hitomi, you can't be serious. You do know where we are, right? The land of frost. Hanabi said, spreading her arms to indicate the surrounding area. Did you think it was going to be nice and warm? No. I just thought these cloaks would be enough to keep us warm. Hitomi said, blushing a little bit as she turned away from Hanabi. Hey Mito, I think we should have left this one back in the land of hot water. Hanabi said jokingly. Sorry, what did you say? Mito said, seemingly having just been pulled out of a trance. Seriously Mito, you need to pay attention. Hanabi said. Sorry, it's just that we're really close to where Naruto is and I'm excited to see him, but I'm really worried. Mito said, looking a bit down. What are you worried about? Hitomi said. What if he doesn't like me just like the rest of my family? Mito said. Don't be, he's not going to be like your sisters, I'm sure he'll love you. Hanabi said. Yeah, you're right. Mito said, rising her head a little. As they were talking, they heard a group of people coming their way. That sounds like a lot of people. Hitomi whispered. Yeah, what do you think we should do? Mito said. Let's just hide for now. Even if they don't know who we are, at best not to let anyone see us until we make it to Naruto. Hanabi said. The girls left the road and hid behind some nearby bushes. When the group walked by, they were glad they hid because they looked like bandits and some of them had weapons. The girls could also make out what they were saying now. Are you sure about this? I mean, he's taken out a bunch of bandit camps? One of the bandits said. Those are just exaggerated stories. They can't be true, he's only a kid. Another bandit said. But he's listed in the bingo book as a B-class threat. The first bandit said. That's why we're going after him. Do you know how much money we'll get from taking him down? We're going to be able to buy enough booze and women to keep us entertained for years, and all we have to do is take down one brat. Accelerator better watch himself. The bandit said before walking far enough away that the girls couldn't hear them anymore. Did you hear that? They were talking about Naruto. Mito whispered just in case the bandits could still hear them. Yeah, but that's good for us. We can just follow then and find Naruto. Hanabi pointed out. But they're going to attack him. What if they hurt him? Mito said. Mito, are you listening to yourself? Naruto is in the bingo book as a B-class threat. There is no way that's a bunch of bandits are going to be able to hurt him. Hanabi said. Mito didn't share Hanabi's confidence. Fine, we'll follow them, but if it looks like they are going to get the jump on Naruto, we're going to help him. Mito said. If we did that, we would only get in his way or get ourselves killed. Hanabi said as they started to tail the bandits. Naruto was having a nice walk around town when a bunch of bandits suddenly ambushed him. One tried to stab him in the back of the head with a kunai, and Naruto could have sworn heard someone gasp. The bandit, however, was sent sprawling to the ground, now holding his brokering wrist. The other bandits were met with the same fate soon after. Why don't they ever learn? Naruto said as he walked past them. Naruto wasn't going to kill them, mostly because if he took the time to kill every idiot who attacked him nowadays, he would never get anything done. Ever since he got placed in the bingo book, people would come out of the woodwork to attack him. It was more of a nuisance than anything else. The only good thing about it was, for whatever reason, people usually carried money when they attacked him, so now Naruto could let the money come to him instead of going out and destroy bandit camps to get it. It was pretty nice to be able to stay in town. Little did Naruto know that his life was about to be shaken up by the three girls that had been watching him from a nearby ally. Mito, did you see that? Your brother is a total badass. He just took out those bandits without missing a step. Hitomi said, partially jumping up and down in excitement. Mito, however, was breathing heavily. She had one of her hands placed over her heart. I thought he was going to die when that bandit tried to put a kunai through his head. I told you. There's no way Naruto was going to let those losers touch him. Hanabi said. You should go talk to him. He is your brother. Hitomi said. I don't know? What would I say? Mito said. I'm sure it will come to you. Besides, we'll be with you. Now come on, I want to get out of this cold. Hitomi said as she started to push Mito towards Naruto with Hanabi following close behind. Hitomi pushed Mito so she was directly behind Naruto, although he hadn't seemed to notice them yet. Excuses me. Mito said in a voice that even she knew sounded pathetic. Naruto turned his head to see three girls in white cloaks standing behind him. What do you want? Naruto asked, not sounding too friendly. I'm Mito and I believe a warm older brother. The one with the red hair said so quick that Naruto couldn't understand what she was saying. Naruto just gave a loud sigh. I don't have time for this kid. Naruto said before turning his head and walking away. Hey, wait. The one with the pupilless eyes said. We came a long way to see you and you're just going to walk away without hearing what we have to say. Naruto ignored her and kept walking. Are you just going to leave your sister just like the rest of her family, Naruto? Naruto actually paused when he heard that name, something that the girls caught. He turned back to face the girls who all looked at him with anticipation. I haven't thought of myself as Naruto in a long time, but since you brought it up, I'll hear what you have to say. Follow me. Naruto said, almost seeming interested in what they had to say. Naruto led the girls to a nearby restaurant. They took their seat with Naruto on one side of the table and all the girls on the other side. So why did you want to see me? Naruto asked. For a couple of reasons, but first we wanted to ask you a few questions. Mito said, trying to sound businesslike and redeem herself from earlier. Yeah, like why you live someplace so damn cold? Hitomi yelled, slamming her fists on the table. Naruto and the other girls couldn't believe what she said and stared at her with dropped jaws. Naruto was the first to recover and got up from his seat. I'm leaving, he said as he started to walk away. Nana no. Mito said, holding her arm out to stop him, losing all her businesslike tone and reverting back to a child. Naruto sighed and sat back down. Okay, for the first real questions. Mito said, looking at Hitomi, who looked rather embarrassed. Why don't you think of yourself as Naruto? Why do you think of me as Naruto? Naruto replied. Mito went into her explanation of how she was his little sister and how she came to the conclusion that he was Naruto and even showed him the picture to prove it. I see, Naruto said. Well, I did go to the Leaf that day, but things turned out much differently than I had planned. Naruto then told his story about how he thought he was Naruto, but how his trip to the Leaf changed that. The girls were shocked to hear the story since it meant the guard had lied to Naruto and in his testimony. Well, now I'm positive you're Naruto since my brother was taken by Orochimaru and not killed. Mito said. Naruto lied back in his chair and put his hands behind his head. Wow, what do you know? I really am the Hokage's son and you are my sister. So what are you going to do now that you confirmed I'm Naruto? Take me back to the Leaf? No, I came here because I was hoping you would take care and train me to become a better ninja. Mito said and told Naruto all about her sister and the neglect of her parents. And I was also hoping you could take care and train my two friends if it isn't too much trouble. They're Hanabi Hyuga and Hitomi Uchiha. Mito said, pointing to her friends. Naruto almost fell out of his seat in surprise. Too much trouble? I'd be in enough trouble by just taking in the Hokage's runaway daughter, but an Uchiha and a Hyuga. I'll be lucky if every ninja in the Elemental Nation isn't on my ass by tomorrow night. The girls were saddened by Naruto's reaction. So does that mean you won't do it? Mito asked. Naruto rubbed his hand through his hair. Taking in these three girls would be a lot of trouble, but having a Hyuga and an Uchiha would help him with his only weakness, Genjutsu, and Naruto had been getting kind of bored lately. He would never admit it, anyone, not even himself, but he was kind of lonely. Fine, I'll do it. Naruto said and all the girls perked up. On a few conditions. First, don't call me Naruto, only accelerator. This is to keep my identity a secret. Second, I'm not taking in the bunch of wimps, you better do what I say. Got it? Got it. All three girls said. Naruto decided to take the girls back to his place after they ate. Hey Narrow Accelerator, I've been meaning to ask you, what did you do to those bandits earlier? Mito asked on the way to Naruto's apartment. That's just my power. I have the ability to control vectors. Naruto went into a little more detail about his powers on the walk home. My hair and body are also pale because I reflect sunlight. I was wondering what that thin layer of chakra around your body was. Hanabi said. Wow, what an amazing ability. Can you teach us how to use it? Hitomi asked. No, I only got this ability because of Orochimaru. It can't be taught, and even if you awaken your Sharingan it can't be copied. Naruto said. That's stupid. Hitomi said, puffing out her cheeks a little. They made it to Naruto's apartment building, and when they got there. Oh great. Naruto said, not sounding too happy. In front of them was Naruto's apartment, but the door was ripped off its hinges. Everything was destroyed inside, and there was graffiti all over the walls with such sayings as "fuck you" and "go to hell you monster." Who would do something like this? Mito questioned. It was probably some bandits. They couldn't hurt me, so they decided to vandalize my house. Naruto said as he laid down on the torn-up couch. You sure you want to stay with me? Naruto asked. Of course. Mito said without any hesitation. Then you three can have the bed. Naruto said as he pointed to the bed, which wasn't all that bad all things considered. Mito and Hitomi headed for the bed, but Hanabi stayed put. What wrong? Don't want to sleep in the same bed as your friends? Naruto asked. It's not that. It's just we're going to be sleeping in the same room as you? Hanabi said, making it seem like it was the most obvious thing in the world. So it's not like I'm sleeping with you. Naruto said. Yeah, but it's improper for a boy and a girl to share the same room unless they're married. Hanabi said as she was starting to blush. Are all you Hyubas like this? Just suck it up and go to sleep. Naruto said, rather irritated. Or you can sleep outside if it's that big of a problem. Hanabi walked towards the bed and got in with her friends, but she didn't look too happy with Naruto. I'm already regretting taking in these stupid brats. Naruto thought before falling asleep. Mito, on the other hand, was having a hard time sleeping. She was just so glad that she finally had a sibling who cared. Well, as much care as Naruto seemed able to produce, but Mito already knew from her short time with him that was just the way he was, and she was perfectly fine with that. It was much better than her family back in Konoha.
That's it for today. Remember to show your support to the creator of this story if you enjoyed it. If you would like more parts of the story to be uploaded, leave a comment and subscribe to get notified when the story continues. Bye-bye for now, and I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day.